Welcome back to Spoiler One. Today we're covering Absolute Batman issue 3. Things are starting to heat up with the fact that Alfred and Batman are pursuing the party animals. Spoilers ahead. We begin with starting from what was actually the ending scene of issue 2, which is the scene with Selena on the windowsill. I know I mentioned Selena on the windowsill prior to it happening because I connected all the flashback parts. My bad. But it starts with that. So Bruce and Selena are hopping off rooftops, as kids do. Um, and she gives Bruce some interesting advice that, not just for that moment, that I think he does take with him as he's an adult. And so as they're jumping off rooftops, they have to cross a wire. And he's like, I'll die. Like, I'll fall and die. And she's like, "Pfft, only 2 stories. You'll probably just break a bone or two," which is it's very much the answer that a Daredevil kid would say. Um, that a Daredevil kid would say. And you see, so she says, cats have, like, just be a cat. Cats have great eyesight, but they don't see far, like that far with distances. So she's basically saying, just see what's in front of you. And so Bruce takes that advice, nearly dies, but is able to get across. And then they're walking together, which is nice to see because this is the first time you're seeing Selena at all in the Absolute Comics and in the interaction. She very much, I like when characters, like if you really know what they are, when you're able to pull stuff back from them and show the seeds of like, this is how they become this. It's always fun because like I can definitely see this Selena, like this Selena becoming Catwoman makes sense to me because it's just like, it's already there. She just says for the rest of the night, be a cat, focus what's in front of you. From there, we have a shot of Gordon holding Bruce running to the paramedics are running to get him to the hospital because first issue panel in issue 2 was Thomas Wayne's body slumped at the door where he put the kids for safety in the bat enclosure. The Joe Chill's bullets had come through the door and had broken the glass of the bat enclosure. So a bat comes up and growls on Bruce, and then a swarm of bats just basically cover Bruce, like completely cover him. And Gordon had mentioned in the hospital when she's talking to Martha in issue 2 that the only reason he knew Bruce was there is because Bruce screamed. So that's where we get that part continuing with Gordon carrying him off. In present day, we have Batman and Alfred in the Batmobile as they face off against the party animals. Batman has given Alfred 30 seconds to make his case, to which Alfred points out. And so I believe I did make a mistake in an earlier video, which I believe I said that they knew Roman and Black Mask were the same person. No, this is where this gets confirmed because Alfred suspects, so he talks about, do you know who Black Mask is? And he's like a leader of a paramilitary organization, like real bad people, very, very dangerous. Then he says, I believe Black Mask is Roman Sionis, who they know Roman Sionis is the leader of the party animals. And he says, if they're the same person, you're in out of your depth. Like this is much bigger than you can handle. But I heard, and this is important, I heard the conversation you had just before the building they were in blew up and they got into the Batmobile. So this is right at the end of issue 2, where on the computer, Black Mask, Roman Sionis, had offered Batman $2 million to stand down, which is pretty interesting because Batman normally would have money. So in this case where he doesn't, they both Alfred and Black Mask basically explained like, with that kind of money, you can build Batman into something bigger, something lasting. And so it's like a valid reason for him to like consider taking this. And they're like, hey, we'll lower the tax. Interesting enough, Black Mask doesn't say that it will stop the attacks outright. He just says the intensity and frequency will decrease. And he's like, just give us a week. Alfred urges him to take the deal because his plan is pretty much done, and that's why he's able to make that offer to Batman. They've been tearing their way through Gotham City streets like crushing party animals as they go, and they eventually get to the port where they're surrounded by police. Alfred's like, "Hey, you and I make a pretty good team. Let's keep this going." And so Batman's like, "Pull the lever," and it just sends an escape pod. He dives into the water. We go back to the flashback with Bruce and Selena, and Bruce basically asks what happened to the last home she was. They basically returned her because she's gone to different foster homes, and he's like, "Is that makes three?" She's like, "Four, but who's counting?" Um, so she just has her cats, and she feels nice. She's like, "They're always purring," and there's a lot of cats, like a crazy amount of cats. But what do you expect uh, from the future Catwoman? Um, Bruce makes an offer for her to live with with her and his mom, which, but she responds like kind of like her response. She's not very happy with that. I'm not too sure why that is. Maybe it has to do with and like boundaries of your friendship and feeling like someone's taking pity on you. So they go to their destination, which happens to be the movie theater in which Selena's plan is for them to watch Zorro. Uh, Zorro happens to be the movie which Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne met at, and was the movie that Thomas Wayne, after the field trip, had planned on taking Bruce to see. So he is not happy. In present day, Bruce is talking to Edward Nigma, who has a machine he calls Al, which is a play on AI, which contains 80% of human knowledge and counting. So Bruce, and he's like, ask it a question, like any question. He also talks about how he would name it Riddle Man, which makes me wonder if the absolute version of Riddler is actually the machine or some combination of Edward Nigma and the machine merged. So he asked a question, is able to give him three pieces of information regarding the party animals, or the party animals' masks, which is the masks offer happen to prevent detection from local authorities and global authorities on camera for your identity when you put on the mask. There's also the fact that it creates a digital wallet for something called Blackcoin, which is the currency used by the party animals, and then it creates evaluations. And so Bruce is like, what do you mean by evaluations? It assigns monetary value to crimes such as murder, arson, theft, or robbery. And that's how they get paid. And so he's like, how would I shut this down? And I was like, you can't. But they do point out that there are servers, local servers, like all over the world. And there's probably hundreds of thousands of members of the party animals. Even if you crash or destroy a server, because it is satellite based, the network is satellite based, you would only be doing very little. And so Al tells him to give up. Al's not interested in helping him, even if he could. Bruce doesn't understand why. He's like, I'm just asking questions. And then then an interesting happens where Edward explains, hey, friendship's not easy for me because of the way that I tend to see through things, see a bunch of stuff. And that's why I value your friendship. And he's like, and this is me looking at you, telling you to stop. And I found that interesting because I'm like, oh, does he know? Does he know that Batman, like Bruce is Batman? Like, yeah, so that's interesting. But Bruce gets a phone call from Harvey, so that interrupts that, where Harvey talks about a fund called the JK Fund, which has funding into different things, and Arc M, or their private prisons, where they have investments from biochemical firms, genetics, and other stuff, which makes me think in this universe that a lot of Batman villains and stuff come from these arcs because of the investments in the companies that are doing stuff. But they're not just private prisons, they're black sites. So after which we go and see, we see for Hill and Bullock meet up where he wants to introduce him to Roman Silas. We get to see the absolute version of Bippo, who is a Superman fan in the normal universe, former boxer, and Roman's talking to Bullock, pointing out that the party animals are dangerous, Batman's dangerous, and you ordered this many helicopters and this many tanks and etc. It's like, I could give you 10 instead of 4. I can give you this because if this keeps going, it's going to be a war. Like, it has to be stopped. I can help you stop it. because I'm a pacifist that just wants peace. In the meantime, he's fighting Bippo, and Bippo is not having a good day. Is the best way to say it. Pretty sure with the next scene after Bippo, all absolute Bippo is dead, because even Harvey's like, hey, he's tapping out, like, stop. And he's like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about that. The way his eyes are like bloodshot, pretty sure he killed him. And it's crazy to do that in front of the police commission. But I think that's intentional, to be like, this is the type of person I am. Bruce goes looking around and gets more information about the different arcs. And Arc M, which is being built off the coast of Gotham, to the movies with Zorro, where Bruce tries to leave, but he gets ambushed by his friends as they all plan this together. They all watch the movie together with Martha in the back. So it's a coordinated effort. And it's really nice moments to see how close they are and how much they care about Bruce, which is going to make some stuff devastating later. In present day, Bruce, afterwards, Bruce has snuck into his mom's place. He's eating breakfast at 8 a.m. and he's basically telling her to stop because she has chosen to become the acting deputy mayor, so she's not going to stop. He makes a snide comment about his dad about choosing to keep going forward. Look where that got him. And his mom says, like, I love you, but you got to cut that shit out. She kisses him with the forehead, basically saying, like, I'm doing that because I don't want to slap you. Because, yeah, that comment's pretty messed up that he made. So she's going to keep being her. I like in stories when supporting characters have like an active role where it makes sense to weave them into the story, like her being a active deputy mayor. There's a lot of stuff going on that will involve her in future storylines because of that, or where that plays, especially with Gordon. Because sometimes supporting characters, I feel like they don't know what to do with them, so they're just kind of there, and then they get kind of annoying because it's just like, what do you do? And you're like, all right, I come over and we eat chips sometimes. I don't know what I do. But who has a daughter who he sent a message to in issue 1, and they haven't had contact. She basically tells him to fuck off. And he's monitoring her as recesses, and she's with the kids. He's just monitoring her from afar. And this is the first time you actually physically see his daughter. Harvey has thrown in with Hill, offering Hill his support, which sucks. And then at the end, we see Bruce as Batman getting another message from Black Mask, who's just saying all the stuff he could do with the 2 million. And on a very interesting note, with him saying, enough, I'm in. It's an interesting take that I feel like wouldn't really work as well in the normal universe because he has the money, so there's less reason to consider it or for you to believe you do it. But considering one of the arguments that Alfred makes earlier is the fact that we're making a case against him. If you stand down, because Batman's like, why would I stand down? He'd get away, but he's like, we're making a case. So you build Batman into something lasting. We keep making our case against the party animals. We're close. We will eventually get him. You won't get him now. And so it's like everybody wins. And so with the logic that he would be letting go of the fish now for somebody else to catch it later, makes it like believable that he would actually take this deal. So it's a very interesting way to end the issue. And stuff is definitely ramping up because the first arc is a 5-parter. So should wrap up in issue 5. And so this was issue 3. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video and check out my Absolute Batman issue 4 or any of the other Absolute recap commentary videos I've been doing. Appreciate you guys.